Have you ever wondered how the concept of community and society originated? How we transitioned from being solitary survivors to forming intricate societies? Well, today we're embarking on a journey that will take us back, way back, to the Neolithic era. A time that witnessed extraordinary transformations in human existence. It's in this era that the seeds of community and society as we know it were sown. Today we're venturing back thousands of years to a time that revolutionized human existence, the Neolithic era. The Neolithic era, also known as the New Stone Age, marked a significant transition in human history. This period, spanning roughly 10,000 years from around 10,000 BC, brought about a monumental shift in the way humans lived their lives. Imagine, if you will, a world where humans were once nomadic hunters and gatherers, constantly on the move to find their next meal. The Paleolithic era, or Old Stone Age, was characterized by this transient lifestyle. Survival was the name of the game and humans were solitary players. But then, something remarkable happened. As the curtain rose on the Neolithic era, we saw humans starting to settle down. They began to grasp the concept of farming, learning to cultivate plants and domesticate animals. Instead of chasing their food, they made the food come to them. This transition from a nomadic lifestyle to settled farming was nothing short of revolutionary. The impact of this change was far-reaching. With a stable food source, humans no longer needed to constantly roam. They could stay in one place, build homes, and over time, these homes grew into communities. This shift from hunting and gathering to farming was a game-changer in human history. It laid the groundwork for the birth of civilization and heralded the dawn of community and society. And as we'll see, it set the stage for a whole new era of social dynamics. The Neolithic era gave birth to one of the most significant inventions in human history, agriculture. It's hard to imagine life without it, but for thousands of years humans relied solely on hunting and gathering. But then, around 10,000 years ago, in a period we now call the Neolithic Revolution, our ancestors made a discovery that would change the course of history. They began to understand the life cycles of plants and realized they could cultivate them. Instead of foraging for wild grains, they started planting, harvesting, and storing their own crops. This was the dawn of farming, and it was a game changer. Grains like wheat, barley, and rice became staples, and for the first time, humans could control their food supply. The Neolithic people didn't stop at plants though. They also began to tame wild animals. Goats, sheep, pigs, and cattle were among the first to be domesticated. These animals provided a reliable source of meat, milk, and hides, and they could be kept close to the human settlements. The emergence of agriculture had profound effects on daily life. It meant that people could stay in one place, leading to more permanent settlements. It allowed for larger populations since farming could support more people than hunting and gathering. It also meant that not everyone had to be directly involved in food production. This freed up time for some people to develop other skills like pottery, weaving, or tool-making. The transformation was gradual, of course, it didn't happen overnight, and not all societies adopted farming at the same time or in the same way. But wherever it took hold, agriculture set the stage for a new way of life. So, in this era of technology and skyscrapers, let's take a moment to appreciate the humble beginnings of agriculture. It's the invention that allowed us to put down roots, literally and figuratively. It's the invention that led to everything from bread to beer, from villages to cities, from survival to civilization. Agriculture transformed the way humans lived, setting the stage for the formation of communities. With stable food sources, humans began to settle down, leading to the formation of communities. Nowadays, we take the concept of community for granted, but during the Neolithic era, it was a novel idea that forever altered the course of human history. Let's delve a little deeper into how this all unfolded. As people began to master agriculture, the need to constantly move in search of food diminished. This stability allowed our ancestors to establish permanent settlements. Picture the scene: clusters of mud brick houses, granaries brimming with grain, fields of crops swaying in the breeze, and the air filled with the sounds of domesticated animals. This was the dawn of a new age, an age of community living. These early settlements were more than just physical spaces, they were the cradle of complex social structures. As the population grew, tasks and responsibilities had to be divided. Some people tended to the crops, others managed livestock, and some took up the role of crafting tools, clothes, and other essentials. This division of labor, based on skills and strengths, was the forerunner of the professions we know today. Within these communities, we also see the emergence of leadership roles. It's likely that those with specific skills or knowledge, such as the best hunters or the elders, held positions of power. These individuals would have made decisions for the community, resolving disputes, planning for the future, and ensuring the group's survival. This was the genesis of governance and authority, but it wasn't all work and no play. Evidence suggests that these communities also had time for leisure and celebration. Artifacts like pottery, jewelry, and musical instruments hint at a rich cultural life, filled with storytelling, art, music, and possibly even early forms of dance. These early communities were the building blocks of the societies we live in today. They marked the start of our journey from being solitary survivors to becoming social beings, capable of cooperation and collaboration. It's a testament to the power of community, showing us that together, we can achieve far more than we ever could alone. The formation of communities brought about significant social and cultural changes. With the advent of stable settlements, family dynamics began to evolve. The concept of family as we understand it today took root, with relationships becoming more defined and nuclear families emerging as the primary social unit. Gender roles were also transformed. Men, traditionally hunters, began to take on roles as farmers and herdsmen, while women, who had been gatherers, often became responsible for the household, including child-rearing and food preparation. This division of labor allowed for more efficient use of resources and contributed to the survival and growth of these early communities. Meanwhile, the Neolithic era also saw a flourishing of cultural practices. Art began to emerge as a means of expression and communication, with intricate cave paintings and carvings reflecting the world around them. There was also the birth of religious beliefs, with early communities often worshipping deities associated with nature, reflecting their deep dependence on the natural world. These shifts in social structure, the division of labor, and the emergence of cultural practices were not isolated events. They were intertwined, each influencing and being influenced by the others. This complex interplay resulted in a cultural revolution that fundamentally changed the way humans lived. The Neolithic era saw a cultural revolution, shaping the future of human societies. The Neolithic era also saw the beginnings of trade and economic systems. As communities grew and diversified, not everyone had to be a jack of all trades anymore. Some people became expert toolmakers, others expert weavers, and so on. This specialization allowed for the exchange of goods and services, and, voila, trade was born. Imagine a Neolithic person trading a finely crafted stone axe for a bundle of woven reed baskets. These early transactions were likely based on barter, the direct exchange of goods and services. Over time, this rudimentary system of trade evolved into more complex economic structures, serving to further strengthen these budding communities. As trade networks expanded, so did the reach of these Neolithic communities, both in terms of geography and influence. This interdependence created a sense of shared destiny, binding people together in ways that transcended familial ties. These primitive economic systems were the precursors to modern-day economies. The legacy of Neolithic societies is profound and far-reaching. As we look around us today, we find echoes of these ancient communities in our modern world. The settled lifestyles they pioneered laid the foundation for the rise of civilizations. The domestication of plants and animals, the establishment of permanent homes, the development of complex social structures. These are all hallmarks of Neolithic societies that have shaped our lives in countless ways. Their innovative spirit led to the birth of agriculture, which in turn sparked the development of trade and economic systems. These early communities were the crucibles where the concept of society was forged, setting the stage for the evolution of human interaction and collaboration. The Neolithic era was a time of rapid transformation, a time when humans began to shape their environment rather than simply reacting to it. The legacy of this era is not just in the past, it is alive in the communities we live in today. The Neolithic era laid the groundwork for community life that continues to this day. From solitary hunter-gatherers to intricate societies, the Neolithic era was a turning point in human history. We've journeyed through time, exploring the transformative power of agriculture, the formation of early communities, and the birth of economic systems. We've seen how these Neolithic societies have left an indelible mark on our modern civilization. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey through time. Please like, share, and subscribe to VitaHUBKnowledge. Keep learning and discovering with us. Every episode is a new adventure into our past.